it's upsetting me and my homegirl because we feel like, well, damn, if you can't go to bed on Noche, where the hell could you go?
What is going on, people? Chop Soccer's back in the building. This week, we got another guest in here to talk another league. We'll get into that in a second. But Ken, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. It's been, guess it's been a week, bro. Fucking, it's getting cold outside. At least it is here. I don't know about in New York, but
it's hot as balls.
I'll
tell you that right now.
It was like low 60 a couple days ago. So,
take it. In the building with us today is Nicole, Red Bull fan, AC Milan fan.
Hi.
And she's going to be talking some Serie A with us today. Nicole, how are you doing?
I'm good. I've also had a week, but I'm very excited to be here and talk Serie A because I think it's like my favorite league of all.
Okay. I have some questions. I'm just put that out there right now. But we gonna get into the league and everything that's going on.
Well, wait. Before we get going, can you guys keep the beef to a minimum? I know one of you is a City fan, the other one is a RB New York fan. So, for the sake of the children, can we keep the beef to a minimum this episode?
I don't think there's any beef.
Okay.
No beef as long as like Rox does not come out like mid-episode and say he's an Inter fan.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We might have some...
Okay.
That's not happening. But yeah, man, we have a quick gauntlet of questions for you just to give, newcomers to the league some overall insight into what's happening over there and why they should spend their time and direct their attention toward your league. So the first question we have for you is, what is the biggest off-season story that happened in Serie A?
So I felt like there was a good couple ones. Obviously, I felt like the biggest storyline was Lukaku going back to Inter. There was so much drama surrounding it. So like when it finally happened, it was just like, it was massive. He spent this past season at Chelsea kind of like complaining and talking about how much he wanted to go back to Inter. And there was, the rumor mill was like ablaze. People were talking about how there was whispers of him talking to his old teammates, talking to like the old management, and like he really, really wanted to go back. So when it finally happened, it was like, wow, I can't believe it actually happened, but it did. And I think with
it's interesting for me because I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I was just going to jump in because there's like a couple signings that were big, that were like kind of the biggest storylines, but you can go ahead.
No, I just had a question about Lukaku going back to Inter because, soccer is so romanticized and, people often talk about loyalty and like, oh, this player should love this club for the rest of his days. And, in this case, it was kind of not that, which is usually the case with Black people doing anything. Everybody feels one way until a Black person does it. And then it's like, no, it shouldn't be like that. If this was, your favorite white player talking about, oh, they love this club so much and they want to return and contribute and blah, blah, blah. It would have been like, oh, that's so romantic. But with Lukaku, it was kind of like, you're supposed to be putting up numbers over here in Chelsea. You didn't pan out. They paid all this money, yada, yada, yada. How do you feel about that?
I definitely 100% agree with you. You could see his time at Chelsea, it fell very flat as compared to like his time at Inter. It was very electric. He was a part of the team that won the Scudetto, won their 19th Scudetto. So, he was riding in on a high, and, for some reason, I mean, we all know why, but anytime a player from anywhere gets signed to one of the top 6 Premier League teams, that's always seen as like the holy grail destination, right? Like it's seen as like, that's the top thing that you can do for your career. And so I felt like that is kind of how his story was framed a bit. It was like, he had just come back. He had just won the Scudetto with his team. He got signed to Chelsea, which is like a top 6 Premier League team. And so I think people have this like notion that he should be grateful to be there, which is really toxic in and of itself. And it kind of like it limits players from expressing themselves, and it limits players from being like, you know what, this team, even though like people would like kill to play here, it's not for me. And I think more players and more fans need to recognize that.
What were some of the other storylines you were going to get to? Also, because I do think the Lukaku transfer saga took up a lot of air, but for people that aren't really familiar with Serie A, like it's on its way back in terms of like some of the top teams that were down for a couple of years, really coming back also. So what were some of those other storylines during the summer that you think are important?
So I felt like some of the top 2, in my opinion, were I always mispronounce his last name, but it's Dybala, or he's Dybala, yeah, he's an Argentinian player, played for Juve. He had he was leaving, his plan was to leave Juve at the end of the season, and there was a lot of talk around his leave that he was going to go to Inter, or I think people thought he was going to go to a better, he was hyped up a lot. People thought he was going to go to Inter. People thought he was going to go to a better team. And then you didn't really hear anything about him until he got signed to Roma. And so a lot of people thought that him getting signed to Roma was a bit of a downgrade, which I thought was really interesting for a lot of other reasons. But it was very surprising for him to go from Juve to be linked to all these other bigger clubs and then ends up at Roma. But I think him being at Roma is a very strategic move. And then I think the other story that I thought was pretty big was Koulibaly leaving Napoli for Chelsea. I know that Koulibaly had been wanting to leave Napoli for a good minute, but the Napoli management was like, "Nah, we want you here," because obviously he's their arguably their best player, and they really wanted him to stay. But he's been wanting to leave for a while. So even though people knew that it was going to happen, it was still it still shocked everyone that he ended up leaving, especially for Chelsea. But they paid,
Yeah.
they paid for him because he's worth it. He's an amazing player.
And he's also been at Napoli for ever, and Napoli's notorious for not letting players go when they want to go. They always put in super high valuations. If a player's a $50 million player, they're like, "Oh, we'll sell him to you for 100 or whatever." So yeah, it was definitely one of those things. Wow, they're really gonna let him go. Also, he's 31 now too, so they might have felt like they got the best years out of him.
Yeah, but I think he's
Awesome.
gonna still I think he's still gonna live up to the hype, because I feel like he still has a couple of good years left in him. I haven't seen he's not one of those players where I'm I haven't seen a decline yet. He's still really good. But yeah, I'm very happy for him that he did get to go to Chelsea, because he had been wanting to go to Premier League. That was his top destination.
Yeah. It used to be that 30 was the wall for
Mhm.
players, but that's not the case anymore. With the advancement of sports science, I feel 35 is now the actual all right, now we're really starting to decline. So many more players are playing extremely high level ball well beyond 30. So I just feel that old thought of yeah, 31 is kind of not anymore, man. You still got 3 or 4 years, depending on how you take care of your body, if not more.
That
I
good
feel
creatine.
Yeah.
Word up.
I mean, look at Giroud and Zlatan at AC Milan. Well, Zlatan couldn't really play all that much because he had an ACL injury, but Giroud, like, he was and still continues to be like one of our best players. Like, he played a very pivotal role in Milan making it to get to the Scudetto.
Yeah.
Uh,
So next question is, what are the main storylines coming into the first quarter of the Serie A league season?
Oh my gosh, this is one of the seasons that I have been most excited for. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I have a feeling that this is going to be one of the most exciting seasons that we've seen in a while. And I think it's because the battle for the top 5 spots, in my opinion, based off of what I've seen, I feel like it's going to be a really intense fight for the top 5. Do you have like I said, both Inter and Milan have 19 Scudettos, and so for every 10 Scudettos that you get a star above the crest. And so both teams we still only have one. And so they both really want that second star. You can see that they're both hungry for it. And then you also have, with Juve, they've kind of been on the decline for a couple years. Sorry.
Yeah.
They went from being like the Bayern Munich of Serie A, where they were just winning for so long, and then they've kind of slumped a bit. But I think with the signing of Pogba, and once McKennie gets in his full form, I feel like they're going to be like a serious contender for at least the number 3 spot. I'm being like, that's me with my bias, but I do feel like they're coming back really, like, it's like they want to be back on top. But then you also
nobody's checking for Fiorentina.
Fiorentina, I think, is going to surprise. I don't think they're going to be like top.
Ignore me, Nicole. That's a Cosmos joke. Ignore me.
No, but I actually think that Fiorentina, I think they're going to be like a bit of an underdog. Like, I think they're going to be one of the teams that poses a challenge to a lot of like the top table teams. Because I was going to also say you have Roma, who just signed Dybala. You have a second season Mourinho, which is when he tends to really flourish. And then you also have Tammy Abraham. Roma played.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they had I'm really excited to see Tammy Abraham and Dybala play together. Like, I think Roma's gonna. My prediction is that Roma's gonna be the dark horse of this season. They're gonna be the team to watch out for. But like I said, you have the tradition, and then Atalanta. They're normally a top 4, top 5 spot. But this year, past season, they came in like 8th place, which means that they don't have a Europa League or Champions League to worry about. They can like solely focus on the league, and they've always been a challenge to play against. They have like this thing called like the hashtag Atalanta challenge. It's like, if you can beat Atalanta, then that typically means that you're going to be in good standing for the season. So they're always a fight. I really think this is going to be one of the most exciting seasons of Serie A that we've seen in a while.
Speaking of excitement, for the casual fan out there, who are some exciting teams that you would recommend they check out? And we'll just stick with that for now, because I feel like there are a couple of like mid-level teams that are pretty exciting in Serie A that don't really get a lot of credit. So who do you think are some exciting teams that people should check out as a casual fan in Syria?
I think as a casual fan, some of the more exciting ones, definitely definitely Atalanta. I put Atalanta, Fiorentina, and Sassuolo. Those three teams have always been, or at least when I've watched them play against Milan, they've always put up a really good fight. I mean, in general, Serie A is it's a very defensive heavy style of play. But I think that these three teams, they're good for if you want to watch you want to watch a team put up a good fight, and that they're not like the top three, top four teams. I think they're good. They're teams that are a good entryway into watching the league.
Do you want to do a prediction or two for us before we go?
Yeah, totally. So, I said that the top predictions, or my predictions, is I think that the top two spots are going to be either Inter or Milan. That's my top two. But I do think that the 3 and 4th spots are going to be a battle between Roma, Juve, and I'll say Roma, Juve for sure. I'm going to also put in Atalanta, and I'm also going to put in Napoli, because I believe in Napoli, even though a lot of people don't really believe in them because they lost so many good players. They lost Koulibaly, Insigne, Immobile, and Mertens. I'm mispronouncing that, but Mertens. They lost four really good players. But based off of the transfer markets and all that stuff, I do feel like Napoli is going to be third or fourth, or maybe fifth. I would say.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So we what we've been doing is we've been putting each of our guests on the spot for big August games. And it looks like Syria, you might have gotten off easy because they only have one big game, it looks like, in August, which is on the 27th. We have Juve and Roma.
That I will say that's gonna be a good game to watch.
Who are you gonna pick?
I would say I'm gonna have to give it to Roma. I'm gonna have to give it to Juve, because you know what? I think that I will give it to Roma solely because McKennie I'm not sure if he's gonna be back, or if he is back, he's not gonna be at he's not gonna be 100% because he's just coming off of an injury. And you guys still don't have Pogba because he's still injured. So unfortunately, I think for that game, I'm going to have to give it to Roma.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty early in the season too. You normally don't get a lot of big games during the first couple of weeks, so it's kind of surprising that they would be meeting so early. But yeah, we could totally see Roma pulling that out. Who do you think? Oh, we'll get you out of here on this. I don't think we asked you this. Who do you think is going to have a down season? Who do you think is going to start slow and not really catch this year? If you had to pick a team that's going to be down, who do you think it's going to be?
I would have to give it to. I don't want to say any of the newly promoted teams, just because I believe in them. I have a lot of belief in them. But if I have to say a team that's going to be in their slump era, it's going to be Napoli. Just because, again, like I said earlier, they lost 4 of their best players. So I'm not expecting too much from them this entire season. I have a feeling it's just going to be they're going to do good. They're just not going to be Scudetto contenders,
Yeah, no, I could totally see Napoli like just having a meh season because I mean, like, obviously they're not gonna go like, and drop all the way down in like a relegation battle. But like, like you said, they've lost like 5 or 6 key names. So, it's quite easily they're not in Europe next year, even though there's like 4 European tournaments now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost count of all the European terms. I'm like, there's so many going on now.
Yeah, I think I was a little facetious when I said 4. I think now it's just like Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League, I think. But yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's
Um,
4 at some point.
yeah, it's
Super
coming.
League.
It's definitely coming. Yeah. So, Nicole, are you our official Serie A correspondent? Will you be back next month to talk some more Serie A with us?
Listen, as long as you guys keep inviting me back, I will. Of course, I'll come. I'll come and talk about Serie A.
Yes, we've got 2.
There you go.
There you go.